President Trump's sweeping announcement about tariffs, where he stepped up his massive global trade war. Trump declaring today a national economic emergency. He called it Liberation Day. He announced tariffs of at least 10% across all countries, with rates going even higher for countries that have the highest trade deficits with the United States. Joining us now from the White House is Republican Senator Jim Banks from Indiana, who attended President Trump's tariff announcement. Senator, thanks so much for joining us. So according to the Office of the U.S. Trade Representative, Indiana, your state, exported billions of dollars worth of goods to several countries last year, $13.9 billion to Canada, representing 23% of Indiana's total exports of goods, $7.5 billion to Mexico, $6.5 billion to Italy, $5.1 billion to China, $4.2 billion to Germany. It looks as though Indiana really depends on world markets. Are you concerned at all that your state's economy will survive this trade war and the retaliatory tariffs and on?
Jake, the decision by President Trump today to impose reciprocal tariffs will be so good for Indiana. We already are the largest manufacturing state per capita in the country, a lot of really good paying manufacturing jobs, and the top steel producing state. In my small hometown in Northeast Indiana, the best jobs are at a local steel mill called Steel Dynamics. My dad retired from a factory that made axles for cars, and those are the manufacturing jobs that President Trump is bringing back from overseas to the United States of America. More made in America cars is good for Indiana's economy, and Hoosiers know it.
How worried are you that the manufacturing jobs that come back might end up being automated as opposed to good, hardworking Hoosiers?
Well, you can't automate all of these jobs. Right now in Indiana, we have large General Motors plants, Subaru, Toyota plants, Honda plants. By the way, Honda projected to make the next generation Honda Civic in Indiana instead of Mexico because of these tariffs. That's all good news for Hoosiers, good paying factory jobs, manufacturing jobs that give families a shot at the American dream, just like my family. I grew up in a trailer park. My dad was a factory worker, and we lived the American dream because of a job that eventually was shipped overseas. So bring those jobs back. That's what by the way, these reciprocal tariffs are fairly modest. In a lot of cases, half of what other countries impose on the United States of America. I guarantee it, and President Trump guarantees, these tariffs are going to bring good paying jobs back to the United States, especially in a state like Indiana.
Right, but these cars that are going to be manufactured in the United States and in Indiana that have foreign parts, especially, for example, the Chevy Silverado manufactured in Fort Wayne, and those foreign parts are going to be tariffed 25%. The same goes for any other cars using foreign parts that are in the Subaru plant in Lafayette. Then that just stands to reason that these cars are now going to be more expensive for Americans. Are you not worried at all about the auto industry being destabilized because of that?
As President Trump has said, there will be disruptions in this economy, but other countries are already coming to the table. The president just minutes ago in the Rose Garden signed these reciprocal tariffs, and other countries have been put on notice. And what I expect are these countries to lower their tariffs on the United States and give President Trump room to lower our tariffs in retaliation. That's the whole point of reciprocal tariffs. So he's already put the rest of the world on notice. The Kick Me sign has been taken off of American manufacturing workers in this country, letting the rest of the world, we're not going to let you take advantage of us anymore. That's what the president's announcement today declares. In the Rose Garden, by the way, we had UAW workers, we had union workers from all over the country who fully support these actions because they know that there will be more good paying union and non-union manufacturing jobs in this country because of President Trump's actions today.
I want to ask you about this exchange you had yesterday in the halls of the Senate, an exchange with a former federal employee from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services who approached you. The exchange went viral. Here's a little bit of it.
Hi, I was a worker at HHS. I was fired illegally on February 14th. There are many people who are not getting social service programs, especially people with disabilities. Are you going to do anything to stop what's happening?
You probably deserved it.
I deserved it?
You probably deserved it.
I deserved it.
Dude, that's
wow.
So sad.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Why did I deserve it?
Because you seem like a clown.
So in a statement to CNN asked about it, you said, quote, "I have no sympathy for left-wing activists who have been let go from overpaid positions that should have never existed. I do have sympathy for the hardworking Hoosiers whose tax dollars have been wasted on bankrolling those positions, unquote. This former federal employee was on CNN a little bit earlier today. Listen to what he had to say.
I was just asking, what are you doing about the social services that are being cut, specifically for people with disabilities? And his response was just that I deserve to get fired. In response to the piece about left-wing activism, as a federal employee, much like all of other civil servants, I am nonpartisan.
Do you have any evidence that he's a left-wing activist? Do you have any idea of what kind of work he was doing at HHS?
Yeah, here's what I know, Jake. He's an instigator. He's in the hallways of the Senate office buildings every day, chasing down Republicans like me and cheering for Democrats who walk through the hallways. So it doesn't take a whole lot here to deduce from that. He is a left-wing activist. And what I have no tolerance for is anyone who believes they are entitled to a taxpayer-funded job. In this case, we know that he made between somewhere $85,000 to $100,000 a year for a job that he can't even explain what he was doing. It was a job that wasted taxpayer dollars. I have no sympathy for that, but I do care about those factory workers, those teachers, the police officers in Indiana who work hard every day and pay taxes to fund a job like that shouldn't belong in the federal government to begin with. So that was my point. I'm not going to shy away or back down or apologize for what I had to say yesterday. This was a calculated instigator, activist in the hallways of the Senate, and I don't have a lot of tolerance for it.
Do you feel that way about every federal employee that's been laid off in all these massive job cuts that DOJ and President Trump have been doing?
Look, this guy was chasing me and other Republican senators through the hallways. Of course not. My comments were directed at this fellow, who can't even explain what his job was. It was a woke job that wasted taxpayer dollars, and I'm thankful that President Trump eliminated that job to save tax dollars at a time when we have a $37 trillion national debt. That's what we're getting at. Cut wasteful spending, save those tax dollars. No hardworking family in Indiana deserves to pay the salary of someone like that.
I'm genuinely asking, how do you know what job he has or had?
He can't explain it. I've read online what he had to say about his job. It doesn't make sense. He couldn't even explain it on CNN earlier today when you had him on your station exactly what he did do, which is why he was a probationary short-term employee who lost his job because President Trump and DOJ determined that it was a job that we didn't need in the federal government to begin with. That's the heart of the matter.
Republican Senator Jim Banks of Indiana, thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Coming up,